All right, today is my fourth day in Phoenix after returning here. I made an observation this week. So I just moved from Seattle where they seem to be very progressive, right? There's a lot of movements on same-sex marriage, among other issues. Obviously, the Chaz protest happened there 2 years ago. I learned that the reason some of these movements happen is because they need to happen. There's so much inequity there. The movements are not a good sign that that's a good place to live if you're because of the skin of your color or your sexual orientation. No, it's a sign that it's a bad place to live, and that's why those things have to happen. Right here in Phoenix, those things come natural, and people accept each other for who they are. So I got a number of nice, warm, fuzzy feelings. My first day where I work right now, I had big reservations about how much I need to come out of the closet in terms of my sexual orientation, in terms of let's just put it, health orientation. I have some things that I need to watch out for in terms of, for example, my dietary needs, and certain accommodations at work. See, I don't like to say disability. It's more of a health orientation, right? Because what I'm eating shouldn't affect the person who's working with me, right? In an ideal world, right? For some reason, people let it bother them for some reason. I have high-functioning autism, which I control with diet. And I handle my diet very well. In fact, when we were in quarantine, I handled my diet even better because I didn't have people to bother me over it. But unfortunately, the way I eat bothers a lot of people. I think part of the reason is that they get self-conscious about how they're eating. They see somebody avoiding sugar, avoiding MSG, they go, God, I eat way too much crap. And instead of trying to address that, they have a problem with other people eating the way they do. It's just weird. Let's put it that way. So I gave myself a lot of strife about how to handle this, because sooner or later these things come out, right? You got people who sometimes have, well, first of all, sometimes workplaces like to have social events where people bring their significant others. You have, obviously, HR is going to know about your tax situation. Among other, it's impossible to completely hide out these things, right? At some point, they have to come out, right? And so I was thinking about what's the best way to let this out. Now, I made a goal. We're changing a season now, so I made a goal for myself. And the goal comes from a problem I had a few months ago when I got into a car accident. My car was totaled, and I had to negotiate with, buying a new car, with the insurance company, with a number of issues. And I find that I have a tendency to interrupt people. I'm too anxious to talk. And I might have been able to handle some of those negotiations better if my mouth didn't explode at the first opportunity. The way this will play out is I'm listening to the car dealer say something, or listening to my future boss say something, or anybody that I need to negotiate business with, a coin dealer, and I think there's silence. I start talking, and he was just about to talk, and he says, "Oh, go ahead," and I'm like, and I just waited like 2 seconds. Maybe he would have given him a better deal. I mean, I always kick myself doing that. And so when I interviewed for this current job that I had, there was a lot of silence during the discussions. My first day at work, there was an equal amount of silence, and it drove a lot of my coworkers nuts. It was a fresh goal in my mind, and so I made myself count to 5, and when I realized I was still interrupting people, I made myself count to 10, and I remember imagining a space shuttle on the launch pad. 10, 9, 8... That's how I got myself to wait 10 seconds. I was imagining a space shuttle launch. And then I started to worry. At some point, people were going to know that I'm solo-sexual, that I have dietary restrictions, not necessarily restrictions, but dietary preferences that are important to me. And to my surprise, those things didn't bother a lot of my coworkers here in Phoenix. My coworker, who's a little bit younger than me, thought that was the most beautiful relationship he had ever seen. My boss acknowledged that her daughter was similar, was solosexual as well. Her daughter is 16 years old, and she said, "You know, my daughter has never been on a date, and but she goes out by herself too." And that gave all of us a nice, warm, fuzzy feeling. And then I went to a board game meetup that I was frequenting last year, and all those people remember me. And it seemed like we had never been apart that long, even though a lot has gone on between then and now. And when I talked about my situation in Seattle with my homophobic boss, all of them said they had never run into that in Phoenix, so they felt very sorry for me. It gave me a nice, warm, fuzzy feeling that I'm in the right place. The other thing I love about Phoenix is that because I get along with the city so well. See, one of the problems at my last job in Seattle was that my boss would never let me know the schedule until pretty much the day of. And I was thinking to myself, how am I ever going to go on a vacation if I don't even know my days off until they come? I mean, I have plenty of times where I had a week off, but I only had them ad hoc. Right? How are you going to go on vacation like that? Here in Phoenix, I don't have to worry about that. Vacation is just down the road here. And especially the Desert Botanical Garden. I got several game meetups that I like to go to. And so that's great. I can be called in at work at the last minute. I can go on vacation at the last minute. Right? That's complete freedom in my mind. Back when 9/11 happened, I was upset at the idea of flying again. I told my parents I never wanted to fly again. Well, I guess today I could say the same thing again. I never want to fly again, because why would I want to leave the comfort of Phoenix? Thanks for watching.